Guerrilla hit and run. Amba. Oh, God. Comrade Lucas, how do I bring you in? You know, I'm of the old generation, so oh God. Okay, my fellow Ambazonians, I will try to answer Comrade Lucas's first question with the hope that we can find a way to bring him in. Otherwise, I am going to take some questions from the audience. I'm going to make a bit of clarification on the ongoing domestic political situation. I'm also going to address some lingering issues that kind of always haunt the Ambazonian people as we remain steadfast and on course to not only defeating La République du Cameroon, but ensuring that we rid them all from our land. I know he asked the question, what do we make of the fact that Mr. Biya still remains president of Cameroon? In the past 10 months, we had argued continuously that it would be preferable for Mr. Biya to hang on to power. It's psychological and political. Now, Mr. Biya, I think, is probably 86 years of age. He is not a central actor when it comes to international peace and security. He is not an actor for futuristic investment when he talks with respect to the economic future of Cameroon. He is not a person that can be considered at 86 as to be the harbinger of peace, order and security that guarantees international trade, that forestalls, economic stagnation. And so, with Mr. Biya in power also, his reign of corruption, torture, and a total disregard for democratic principles and the respect for human rights will prevail. And so, the Cameroonian people find in Mr. Biya, what they hate about Cameroon. defining Mr. Biya what exactly they want to change when it comes to the political future of Cameroon. Mr. Biya has been in power for more than 46 years. And even if Mr. Biya was an effective leader, the Cameroonian people will be tired of a president, who's been hanging on to power even before, this generation, many people in this generation were born. And so when it comes to the Ambazonian question, we will prefer to have in Cameroon at this particular stage of our revolution, a president that is not accepted by the international system, a president that is not accepted even by the Cameroonian people. So Mr. Biya is having three opponents: the Ambazonian people, the Cameroonian people, and the international system. If we had Mr. Kamto or any other opposition leader as president of Cameroon, this is exactly what we will be facing. Now, Kamto and others who campaigned to become president of Cameroon, we had assessed their political stance. We read the Speech Act. We looked at their policy position when it comes to, the political future of Cameroon. We look at their stance when it comes to the brutality of Cameroon within Ambazonia. We look at exactly what position they will hold should they become president. And when you listen to Mr. Kamto, you would come to understand neither Kamto or C, nor any other political leader who vied to become president of Cameroon has a different position from that of Mr. Biya. Kamto even went as far as saying, there is no need for us to resist, even when Mr. Biya declared war on us on the 30th of November 2017 at the airport. He thinks the right to self-defense, even as a lawyer who understands the machination of the international system, who understands the legal premise of invoking the responsibility to protect in the face of genocide, in the face of crimes against humanity. He understands the moral foundation upon which the right to self-defense is rested. With all of these facts in front of Mr. Kamto, he was so arrogant. Now, let me put it this way. Cameroon's economy is crumbling. Cameroon's economic hold on Ambazonia has crumbled. Ambazonia is ungovernable, which means the political actors like the DOs, the SDOs, and public administrators that were sent to legitimize the political occupation of our country, these men have virtually escaped from Ambazonia. They kind of teleguide their own political governance from across the Mongo and Matazan. When you look at the other premise of the legitimation of occupation, physical occupation, Cameroon is present in pockets where you have the military, they are all hunkered down in their barracks. They bring in special forces like the B to attack us. When you look at the other aspect of political occupation, which is profit, CDC is locked down. Timber exploitation has fallen for about 40%. And so the occupation is no longer profitable. Cameroon is losing. Even with these facts in front of Mr. Kamto, he was so arrogant to believe that Ambazonia is not going to win. And so there is no reason for us to resist against the declaration of war on our people. There is no reason for us as a people, in the face of 250,000 of our people in the bushes, more than 60,000 in refugee camps in Nigeria, hundreds of our people locked incommunicado in Yaoundé, thousands of others extrajudicially executed, hundreds of villages burned down, schools burned down, our economic system totally crumbled. With these facts in front of Mr. Kamto, he still thinks there is virtually no legal, moral, or legitimate foundation for us as a people to resist. Resistance for us is not about winning. Resistance for us is about surviving. And if you have a presidential candidate who thinks we do not have a right to survive under the brutality of his own country for 57 years, Amberlanders, I would prefer the guy I know and I can predict to hang on to power. I would prefer the 86-year-old guy whom I know has a very short lifespan, whom I know is hated by the Cameroonian people, whom I know is hated by the international system, whom I know is senile enough to grasp the aspect of governance even within the presidency of Cameroon, and whom I know I am winning as far as the revolution is concerned. I would prefer that guy to hang around for a while so we can bleed them out of our homeland. Let me address another aspect, which is very interesting. You know, I was reading a paper written by Bo Herbert, one of our great thinkers. He has an insightful way of looking at, political issues. He wrote about Cameroon and those who espouse to hang with Cameroon. We've given them a name, federalists. I don't even think they believe in federation. Let me give you a short historical background so you can understand why Comrade Bo Herbert is right. You know, when you look at John Gu Foncha, you look at Ndele, these men had the opportunity to bat for Ambazonia. They didn't. Ndele warned us against union with Cameroon. He understood the implications. Majoritarian imposition of policies, whether economic, political, or security. Ndele understood the culture of Francophones, that he warned us about the brutality with which they deal with political discourse. He had the facts in his hands because he was a living witness of the brutality meted on the UPC leaders. Ndele batted for Nigeria. Foncha understood all of these cautionary statements made by Ndele. He knew it. Foncha understood Ayijo well. He understood how Ayijo had treated him. He didn't have the guts to bat for Ambazonia. He batted for Cameroon. Those who stood for Ambazonia were silenced, brutalized, tamed, frightened, dejected. Ndele batted for Nigeria. Foncha batted for Cameroon. At a time when we had an executive system with the Prime Minister as the instrument of policy implementation. We had a buoyant House of Assembly that could make our laws, the laws that undergird our economic system, that define our social system, the laws that protected our values and customs. Ndele had been Prime Minister at a time when we were so powerful, when we had the power to walk out of the Eastern House of Assembly from Nigeria. They still batted for foreign countries. I am giving you this history for you to understand we are not mentally deranged. We are not dumps. We aren't deaf. We are a highly enterprising generation. We are the generation that has been able to survive occupation without political institutions to formulate policies that could guide us. We are the generation that have survived economic strangulation. We are not dumb that we can govern ourselves because we have been able to survive our educational system. And so for anybody at any time in our history to believe the only way for us to survive is to hang on to a brutal occupation regime that means no good to us, that burnt mommy happy in our house alive, and they don't have the compunction to say I'm sorry, that rape our women, that have put us in so much torment. Now, Ambazonians, I don't follow Cameroon politics. I have about 15 political advisors who sometimes throw a lot of stuff on my desk. One of the things they threw in the last days was the posture of the lawyers who were trying to change Mr. Biya's reality. I know all of you were cheering. Even some ADF and AGC people were clapping. Oh, they've mentioned ADF in the Constitutional Court or the Constitutional Council. We are so gullible. When our enemies mention our name, we cheer them up. But we want to kill all those who stand and bleed and fight for us. We observe Agwabala, Ben Muna and the others. All of those people who think we are so dumb and stupid to be able to have the mental faculty and capacity, the intellectual ability, the technical know-how to govern based on the consent of the Ambazonian people. Exploit our suffering, exploit our struggle in the Constitutional Council to make a case, not for Ambazonia, but why the Cameroon situation should survive for their interests. They never spoke of the ADF in public when it mattered. They never spoke of the ungovernability of Le BLM, the ungovernability of Batibo. They spoke about these situations when they wanted to exploit it, to frighten Cameroon, to frighten Mr. Biya, to compromise for them. Some of you were cheering. Amberlanders, we aren't stupid. We aren't dumb. If Foncha thought we were dumb enough to be governed by Cameroon, a people that were existing under brutality, and we gave them political asylum, an economic system that cannot provide for itself, they exploit our resources to build a large military. If Foncha could think we could be governed by such a people, if Endele thought a Nigeria that has kidnapped Ayuk, Tansang and the others and deported to Yaoundé was that place where we could find political sanctuary, if the Federalists, the Agbobalas, the Munzus, Cardinal Tumi, let me tell you something. When Adolf Hitler occupied Poland, late Pope John Paul II stood up against Nazism. Men of God, women of God have stood up for the oppressed when it matters. The gentleman who took our case to the US Congress is also a man of God, lower than Cardinal Tumi. Cardinal Tumi has lived his life under a political system he is afraid to undermine. He wants to leave behind a legacy of adhering to a status quo that has brutalized our people. He has to compromise the future of Ambazonia for his own individual legacy. Cardinal Tumi has the chance, in the face of genocide in Ambazonia, to tell the Vatican, to tell the international system, I cannot go to bed with a system that murders my people. And that on a basis of legality, on the basis of the principle of uti possidetis, once possessed cannot be dispossessed. You cannot dispossess the Ambazonian people from a land they own, a system of governance and economic system they have managed. He prefers to want to organize in our capital at a time when we are mourning a conference to show the occupier that he wants a legacy of corruption. My friend Agbobala, he stood in the Constitutional Council of the oppressor to bat for the survival of the system. He hasn't got the guts to come out and stand for Ambazonia, bat for Ambazonia, preach for Ambazonia. As a lawyer, he should know the legal foundation upon which this occupation is prosecuted, to reject it, to abhor it, to fight against it. They want the system to survive for their own personal gains. Learned men without honor, men without guts, without balls. They don't mean us good. They don't mean us good. They think we are dumb. They think we are stupid. That for 57 years they think we can't govern ourselves. We build our schools, manage our schools, run our homes, build a system from the blood of our people. These cowards think you need to bat for your own day. A system that has killed us, murders us, put our people in jail. Ambalanders, I don't know what you think, but I know what I think. And for you, the foot soldiers on the ground listening to me today, I want you to know, Ambazonia is not a chemistry laboratory where political philosophies, political theories are tested on the blood of our people. Our land will not be used to test federalism, unitary system, regionalism, all sorts of schisms that have not benefited our people. The only situation that is acceptable to the Ambazonian people is the evacuation from our land. All those cowards and cohorts, collaborators and traitors who think on the blood of our people. At a time when our people stopped an election in Ambazonia, when Genesis was murdered on the streets of Bamenda, when we successfully delegitimized the system, they all went to Yaoundé to bat for the system. Not in our name. Not in our name. Let me tell you this. I know every day you get up, you see gloom. Where you see troughs, I see bridges. Where you are hopeless, I'm hopeful. Because I know where we are coming from. I know our background. We are a battered people. We've been slaves for 60 years. Out of a sudden, these slaves rose up from their various jails to challenge mighty Cameroon, makes our land ungovernable, increase the cost of the occupation, move the United States Senate to speak for us, move the British Parliament, move the German Parliament. Ambazonians, you should be going on the street every day and dancing, because you have done in less than 1 year what powerful systems, more organized systems, more politically savvy communities have not been able to do. In the face of internal threats of collaborators who've always battled for the system, from the Fonchas, the Munas, and all these traitors. Look, you may like me, you may hate me. Cameroon knows it. If I go down in my grave anytime, my spirit will fight Cameroon from every inch of Ambazonia. If they think they can murder our people, use collaborators to try to bat for them on the blood of our people, let them know this never again generation will fight Cameroon until we can even seize part of their country. We aren't dumb. We aren't stupid. We gave you political asylum. We've never been hateful. Don't turn us into angry men and angry women. We aren't dumb, Ambalanders. I don't usually get angry because anger drives leaders to make policies that are sensational, lacks rationality and understanding. Remember, we aren't dumb. We will govern ourselves. We will live poor in the land of our birth. Ambazonia is not for sale. You don't like it, get out, else we will get you out. Where are we? I need to stop very soon. Ambazonians, listen to me carefully. You may not like what I say. You may not like me either. I'm not here for you to like me. I'm here for you to understand me. We have done well. This is where we are. We have succeeded in making Ambazonia ungovernable. We've internationalized our struggle. No one will recognize Ambazonia until we become a contender. Listen to this word carefully. Until you become a contender. That means for any country to stake its reputation and prestige for you, they must be sure you cannot lose. They think we can lose. In the depth of your heart and my heart, we know we cannot lose. They don't know that. They will know it when they see the level of maturity with which we conduct ourselves as leaders, see the level of stratification and political organization that we portray at the level of defense. That is why our next strategy is making Ambazonia a contender, where the international system know we cannot lose. Only then will they bat for us, take risk for us, risk their status, their prestige, and political capital for us. I will not discuss how that will happen. We are working on it. I need collaboration of all the defense groups on the ground. You have to be structured. We will make sure it happens. Ambazonians, you've been the primary investors in your own revolution. You've done well. You have a right to withhold your funding when you feel angry. You don't have a right to withhold your funding because it's about our survival. That's why I have been told a system is being put in place that will give Ambazonia its first treasury. It will be a rallying call. I have been briefed, and I know other leaders will be briefed. We must build a political system that is not based on naive postulations. Political leaders must have a mastery of the nature of the international system, the repertoire of practices, the value system that undergirdis these practices, and how you can move the levers of power at the level of the international system. Only when you have a mastery of this understanding and how you tie the global to the local, then will you formulate policies that will make you move you from an enslaved people to a free people. It is not done in a haphazard manner. It is not try and see. It is based on careful analysis of the indicators that you have at your disposal. I can assure you, despite the perceived anarchic nature of the international system, the perceived chaos that undergirds our revolution, we are guided by basic principles on how you understand the levels of power at the level of the global system and the local reality of Cameroon as a political entity. And I can assure you, the policies we put in place are sound, they are tested. And I think if you tap from the objective part of your mind, you will conclude as I do. Those policies at the level of defense, at the level of internationalization, have worked well. They weren't made out of a cynical attempt to project power. It's based on the way the BR regime functions. It's based on our understanding of the international system. Take this seriously. I know some of you may really hate me. You know, I will be out of the picture. I'm a mere mortal. Listen to what I say. Listen. Listen carefully. I want to thank you for being the bravest and the finest people yet on earth. You have fought a revolution with a lot of courage, despite the external and international conspiracies against you. You have shown with den guns what you can do with high caliber assault rifles. You have shown with discipline the way you treat Cameroonians even though their country oppresses you. You have shown our people and the world that you can be masters of your own destiny. Surrender for nothing. If you have been able to survive for 57 years based on your survival instinct, putting together your finest brains and minds together to build a system that should cater for you today and the generation yet unborn. Note, Ambazonia will be the richest, finest place to call home. It starts from here, leaving a foundation upon which the next generation can build on. God bless you all.